On August 13, 2002, Drowning Pool performed on the main stage of Ozzfest 2002. They shared the stage with the likes of System of a Down, POD, Black Label Society, and of course, Ozzy Osbourne. Their rise to stardom was among the fastest the metal community had ever seen. In 1999, Drowning Pool was still a three-man instrumental act from Texas. They were formed in 1996 by guitarist CJ Pierce and drummer Mike Luce. Initially, CJ and Mike formed Drowning Pool in New Orleans, but found the circuit there to be too difficult to break through. You had to know the right people, you had to play covers, and then maybe they'd allow you to play original stuff. It was too much, and so they moved to Dallas where there was more opportunity and linked up with Steve Benton for bass duties. Mike and Steve were at a party when they were approached by Dave Williams to join their band. They knew him from the Dallas circuit of bands, but told him that they already had a singer. However, as the night wore on and 80s metal songs began to play, and they all got more drunk, Dave's charisma wore on them and they agreed. That was in 1999. Prior to that, Dave had been a vocalist in a number of Texan bands, 9 to be exact, before landing in Drowning Pool. He and his sister would drive to Seven Dust shows and he got to know the members of the band. So when Drowning Pool had recorded their self-titled demo, Seven Dust took them on the road with them. They then recorded a second demo in 2000 called Pieces of Nothing. Their demos got bought, their songs got radio play, notably on 97.1 The Eagle, that did a showcase of local bands. People especially loved their song Tear Away, and it became one of the most requested songs. This landed them a contract with Wind Up Records in the same year. So, in January 2001, Drowning Pool hit the studio to record their debut album, Sinner. The Pieces of Nothing EP already had 5 tracks that would be on Sinner, and the self-titled demo from 1999 had 1 track that would feature on Sinner. It was released on June 5th, 2001, and within 6 weeks, it went platinum. The sales of Sinner were down to 2 factors: the singles and the performance. Sinner spawned 3 singles: Tear Away, Sinner, and of course, Bodies, which is perhaps the mosh pit anthem of the nu metal era. I ate shit when this played at a party in 2019. This song hasn't lost its luster. If anything, it's even more potent because it's super nostalgic. Unfortunately, Bodies' radio play and video plays on MTV would get severely limited because of September 11. But that didn't stop people from reappropriating the song for their own heinous machinations years later. Look, I'll admit the lyrics are so open-ended that it's ridiculously easy to spin the song however you want, but for fuck's sake, man. But what's the second reason Sinner sold so many copies so fast? Their performance, particularly that of frontman Dave Williams. There's a reason Dimebag Darrell gave him the nickname Stage. When Dave the Stage took to the stage, he wasn't doing the most, he wasn't the most expressive, he wasn't trying to grab anyone's attention. He merely commanded it. You naturally fixated on him. Finger 11 guitarist James Black said that his first impression of Dave was that he was, quote, this big Texan with a shovel, and he was just banging the shovel on the stage and he was just screaming his head off. And I thought, wow, this guy is a rock and roll monster. The stage was his home and Dimebag Darrell saw that. If there was a stage, Dave would go and perform with anybody. He even performed with the Abbott Brothers and did a number of Pantera songs. He was a born showman. When you see him on stage or in music videos, he has an ominous and intimidating persona. It's very unfuckwittable. To be honest, when you see him and then you look at his contemporaries, you start to see just how much other people are trying to perform and trying to conjure energy in the crowd. Dave did not try. It might even unsettle you as to how little he's doing compared to everyone else. And yet, he just went up there and got your attention. Adema guitarist Tim Fluke said that Dave was, quote, more comfortable on stage than anyone else in the world. The first rock anything Dave Williams ever listened to was Van Halen, and he started to play guitar at 14 years old. One day he auditioned to be a guitarist in a band, but they didn't have an amp for him to play through, and they encouraged him to sing instead. He loved it, and everyone else did too. The album, Sinner, is largely about frustrations with religion and frustrations in relationships. Dave grew up in a religious household and was very much against it. Apparently, he used to wear a t-shirt that read, "Worship Satan and smoke crack." Songs like Sinner and Sermon are songs with obvious religious themes and were deliberately placed where they were on the album. However, the song Tear Away is about relationships and the hook is Dave singing, "I don't care about anyone else but me. I don't care about anyone." Drowning Pool actually explained the meaning of Take Away in an interview.
It's one of those songs that we did just in one day. It was an accident.
Yeah, that came out.
Yeah, it happened, but at the same to me, the song's just badass. You're driving, you ever have one of those days? Your boss has done pissed you off, your girlfriend just keeps calling and pissing you off, and you're in your car and you want to hear that one song that you just don't want to hear your phone ring, you want to crank it up, you don't want the asshole next to you looking in while you're driving, you want to pick your freaking nose, do whatever you want to do, but you drive and you listen to that song, it's that, what is it, that me time. Yeah, I don't care about anybody but me right here, right now. Not saying overall, piss off,
Spending quality time with yourself.
Quality time with yourself. You care about anybody
it's just that time, It's not that you've just thrown all your shit to you.
And also from a personal side, anybody that knows me knows that I love everybody. I try to do as much as I can for my friends. Sometimes I fall short, but we all do. Anybody that knows me knows that that was just coming from also, I don't care about anybody else but me. That's crap.
Sarcasm.
It's such sarcasm, but also sometimes you need to worry about just you and nobody else. Take care of yourself, or you're not going to be able to take care of anybody else.
But is it true? Was Dave Williams selfish? Based on more testimonials from his peers and bandmates, nope, that doesn't seem to be the case at all. Drowning Pool's 2002 DVD featured the likes of Ademo, Finger 11, El Nino, David Draymond from Disturbed, Rob Zombie, Zach Wilder, POD's Sonny Sandoval, Dimebag Darrell, and Ozzy Osbourne talking about what an awesome and loving guy he was. Dave had met Pantera back in the early 90s, and when Dimebag went through old photos, there was Dave.
And just, always, we're from the same place, so they would always see me.
I'm rolling through photos and shit. I'm going, God damn. Every fucking photo, like corner. 40 photo sessions of 40 years, dude. He's in the corner or he's on the front or I'm like, dude, this motherfucker was not gonna let up, man,
Just kind of grew into, Dave, okay, and that whole thing developed.
Dave's intimidating stage presence was replaced by this funny, friendly, and charming guy. He was like a teddy bear hugging on everyone and being a lovable oaf. Could Dave Williams be both these individuals? Apparently yes. Finger 11 guitarist Rick Jacket spoke of Dave highly and said that he was an inspiration. He saw that Dave treated his friends and strangers warmly and, quote, seemed to devote his entire being to making everybody happy. David Draymond called him, quote, the sweetest individual I've ever met in this line of work. When meeting Dave, Seether frontman Sean Morgan said that it was like meeting a long-lost friend. He had a ton of positive energy flowing out of him. When watching Drowning Pool's cinema DVD, I really found it odd that a guy with such natural stage presence, charisma, and love was no longer with us. Dave Williams' final show was on August 13, 2002. At the Verizon Wireless Music Center in Noblesville, Indiana. That night he was probably all over the place, but was notably on the Black Label Society's tour bus just hanging out. He jumped back onto the Drowning Pool tour bus as they headed to Bristow, Virginia for their next stop on the Ozzfest tour. They were scheduled to play on August 15 at the Nissan Pavilion. However, on the way to the venue, Dave Williams suffered heart failure due to undiagnosed hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. He was found dead on August 14 in Manassas, Virginia. Drowning Pool Cinema was a tribute to Dave and his life. One of Dave's goals was to buy his parents a house, and the proceeds from cinema allowed that dream to come true. We watched Dave on stage, then we watched him with his friends mixed in with commentary from the band and their peers. Then we watched some hilarious home videos with him and Dimebag. And finally, we listened to some of what was at the time unreleased or rare music from the band. One of the final songs Dave Williams did with Drowning Pool was a song aptly titled Hero Sleeping. Drummer Mike Luce was uncertain if it would ever be released, but it was, despite the fact that everyone forgot about it and thought that it was incomplete. CJ Pierce found a cassette titled 628, which I assume was June 28, that included a complete recording of Hero Sleeping. On Sinner's 13th anniversary, the band released Sinner, the Unlucky 13th Anniversary Edition. It features the first album plus a second disc of demos. Hero Sleeping was the 13th track. CJ spoke about the track with Folio Weekly magazine, saying, "It's about other musicians who had passed away before us." That was Dave's angle on the lyrical content. Then literally just a few weeks later, he passed away. The song's kind of about him now, so I'm glad that we can share that with our fans. Drowning Pool has had its ups and downs, from trying to get traction in a dead circuit and then moving to a better one, almost passing on Dave to losing him in 3 years, having their smash hit be pulled from airwaves because of a terrorist attack, to being a headlining band on Ozzfest, and then having to deal with a revolving door of lead singers. It's been quite the journey, but they're still going strong. For me, Dave Williams is the type of person that the world needs more of. Talented without ego, affectionate without exploitation, a media darling without needing to kiss ass, a bona fide legend despite attaining worldwide renown in less than 5 years. That was his impact on the world, and it was overwhelmingly positive. Rest in power, stage, and thank you for watching.